Hi guys, welcome to psychology videos. As you can see, this is my first video ever for psychology. So actually last year I did my exam for psychology and I ended up getting an A. It was 1 point off an A star, but that's okay. Anyway, you guys have your exams coming up in June, so you need to be well prepared for it and get an A star this year. As you can tell, psychology is becoming very competitive and very hard to get into unis for. So you need to get in there and get your grades and go to uni that you want to go to and do the course. First come, first serve. You need to get your course and go ahead, go into it and do what you want to do with your life. Anyways, let's get started. So AO1, I feel like is everyone gets it. It's not like a weak point for anyone. But AO3 is where most people really get caught. Like it's most points as well from your 16 markers. It's like 10 points out of your 16 points, and that's like from a B to an A jump. And if you get that wrong, then you're really lacking. So I've decided to kind of help people out on the weak points, which is AO3 points. And if you get that, your 16 marker will really be a good marker to mark with as well. So how I did mine last year, which my teacher really liked as well, because of the way I wrote my AO3 points, because I went in stages. I didn't go straight onto putting the information in. Instead, I took it up in stages. I put it up in steps so that it was really clear what I was talking about. It was really clear who I was mentioning, like in terms of psychologist. I mostly concentrated in making it a PEEL point, because that's what teachers really praise and that's what they really love. So what I do with my AO3 points, I tend to make mine long, but that doesn't have to be the case with you, as long as you mention everything that will get you the marks. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, guys. It's okay if yours is not as long as mine, as long as you put everything in there. So how I start mine is I always mention whether it's supporting or criticizing evidence, because it needs to be clear whether you're supporting or are you criticizing. Because if you're kind of just saying, oh, this is my point, and like the examiner doesn't know whether you're supporting or criticizing, they'll just think, okay, but what is the point? So that's where your P comes in from. So you need to say whether you're supporting the evidence or you're criticizing it. And that believe it or not, that could really get you 1 mark. Obviously your overall thing has to be good, but that could really assure you a mark as well on its own. And then from there, that will therefore include 1 mark. Anyway, so moving on. Secondly, it is very important to have an evidence in there to really show off your knowledge, because if you're just putting the point very vaguely, really generally, then that's something that everyone else has as well. You need to stand out. So what you need to do is you need to put in a psychologist name, because that is the whole point of psychology. If you're not showing off a psychologist name, then they're not going to think you're any different. They're going to think, oh, you've got the same knowledge as everyone else, therefore that will be probably no mark, or just overall 1 mark. But if you're really putting in an evidence as well, a psychologist's name, that could really do good marks for you, because then that's you covered with your PE. That's point, evidence done. Now what you've got is explanation and link left. That's all, and then you'll get your good marks. So I've actually, don't panic, this is just one of the AO3 points that I did, but as I said, my handwriting is massive, and I go in a lot of detail when I actually do it. But that's not the case with exams. You don't have to, because you don't have enough time. You don't want to be sitting there doing 1 AO3 points, getting 2 marks for it, and missing out on other things. That shouldn't have to be the case. But so I'll read it out, just to kind of like give you a general idea of how AO3 points are supposed to be like, and how you can just in class, if you practice over time, believe me, it is very possible to even write this long in exam if you want to do good. So here we go. So this is for just for the starting, because I want you to get an idea of how A3 points are supposed to be like. So I've written one, supporting evidence. That's where my point is coming from. So one, supporting evidence for, I don't know if you guys can see. So one, supporting evidence for normative social influence comes from Lincoln, Batch and Perkins, and that's where my evidence is, guys, here. So point and evidence, and I've done that straight into my paragraph. I don't need to waffle, I don't need to talk about other things. Get straight into it, talk about what your point is, talk about who you're going to use as your evidence, because right there I can tell, look, I've got knowledge for of a true psychology. I just, you know, it's not like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so then I go on to my explanation right from here. This is because when a group of people were exposed to a simple message which stated that peers of same age of them avoid smoking as they are aware of harms smoking caused, also led other peers to smoke less. Now, what that is saying is a message was shown to a group of people saying, look, people that are similar ages as you also don't smoke because they know the harms of it. Also led them, so that's their finding, so that's the psychologist's finding. It also led the other group of people to smoke less. And that is really, really true, because like nowadays it's in trend to be skinny, and when we see other people being skinny, we were like, oh, that is something in trend, fitness is in trend, and we don't want to be the excluded one. We want to fit in, we want to do what everyone else is doing, because personally, if I saw my friends or peers same age as me trying to lose a lot of weight, and here's me munching on KFC 24/7, I would feel left out. I would feel really like the odd one out. So that kind of links in with compliance. That's the type of conformity, right? The lowest type of conformity. So what it is it's saying, it's supporting compliance. It's saying, yeah, that explanation is true. And then moving on from there, this shows, you always, because explanation, you always have to say this shows, because you've done the evidence, but that's someone else's evidence, but they want to know what you think about what their evidence is. So you're going to go in with your own thinking now. You're going to say this shows that conformity is strong among peers as they want to commit similar actions as peers similar age as them, meaning they want to fit in with majority and thus avoid feeling left out. That's just the explanation I've given as well. Same with weight system. Nowadays a lot of people are like gym addicts, gym crazy, because they see other people doing the same and they want to fit in. Anyway, some people can just stop here. You don't have to go on, but I'm just too much with my writing. So what I would do is, if it's like an homework, right? So this is what I would add more, just to show off my knowledge even more. So I would say this therefore highlights the significance of normative social influence. This is because it could help in real life situation to reduce smoking among people, which thus will reduce risk of cancer and thus can be economically beneficial, as less money will have to be invested into hospitals and more in other economic areas. So with psychology, they really care about overall, just not just one topic. So if you're going overall with everything, if you're saying that's going to be beneficial in this area or that area, they're really going to think you've got the knowledge. So if you say it's sorry guys, I'm kind of ill. But if you say that it's economically beneficial or economically less beneficial, that could really get you the marks. Right, so here's another example of another A03 point. It's on the same topic, but just a different one, just to really show you how it's written out. So for this one, I've said one, supporting, again, I'm not doing a criticism, this time I'm doing support again. It's just an example, general example, so you really get an idea. So I've said one, supporting, that's my point, evidence for normative social influence comes from Wittenbrink and Henley, and that's another psychologist's name, and he's found something, so that's evidence. So point, evidence. So I said and then I go on to what he found. So his finding is starts from here. So he exposed participants to negative information about African Americans. So that's what he did. That was his little experiment, and I forgot to write that, but that's in brackets here. So I said participants later reported more negative beliefs about a black individual. This, and that's what he found. And then, like I said before, you need to go on with what you think, your own opinion about their explanation and their findings. So I said this shows. I think that's a vital